Hello there everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to Season 1, Episode 2 of Breaking the Big Three in Portugal. A save in which I take charge of Santa Clara, a club from the Azores Islands, and I try to break the dominance of the Portuguese Big Three of Porto, Sporting and Benfica. We're trying to establish a new dominant force in the Portuguese league, and we're off to a good start, as you can see from the league table over there. But before we get into the results so far, would appreciate it if you'd take the time to subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed already, click that bell for notifications. I set myself a target back in January of doubling my sub numbers. I was on 375 on January the 1st, so we're closing in on the end of 2020, and I'm tantalizingly close to 750. So if you could help me reach that target, it would be much appreciated. Now, so as you can see here, we are currently third in the league. Granted, we've played more games than the teams around us. A lot of these, like Porto and Benfica, playing in Europe, so they've had some European matches that have clashed with rounds of league fixtures. But, we're holding our own. We're punching above our weight. We won 6 games already. We've only lost 2, and they were against 2 of the big 3. So, no complaints so far. Before we get into the results in detail, I do have some transfer news for you. Now, in the first episode, I kind of talked through some of the frustrations of those early attempts to improve the squad, the kind of constraints of our wage budget and our transfer budget, both of which were quite small. Well, we had a sudden movement right as we got to the end of the transfer window. This guy, Lincoln, you may remember him. He played in that match in the first episode against Firenze. 48 hours before transfer deadline came around, Monaco came in with a bid. But it was one of those frustrating AI bids where it's just, so derisory, insulting. It was like £100,000 plus a couple of clauses that would have brought it up to 150. Flat no from me. Lincoln and his agent said we wanted to move. So I said, well, I need a better deal. I said I wanted 2 million. They didn't like that. Lincoln went and started kicking up a fuss with the squad. Then Leipzig came in with a bid very similar to the Monaco bid, but unlike Monaco, they were willing to negotiate. So I managed to get them up to 950,000, and then some clauses. We got some appearance fees in there. We've got some goals scored fees in there. We've got a future sale fee in there. So we managed to get it up. We didn't get all of that money to spend, however, because unfortunately Lincoln was a signing from the previous regime here. They signed him from Grêmio in Brazil. They put in something ridiculous, like 35% of the fee went to Grêmio. Well, that still brought in a bit of money. We got about £350,000 to play with. So I needed to plug a gap in the attacking midfield. So a couple of people I brought in. I mean, no one here as a kind of out-and-out star, but definitely people who can offer us some options and some depth. Our first signing, Kenji Gure. We got him from Nacional out in the Madeira Islands. As you can see, 2.5 stars, so average player, but he's a natural across the attacking midfield line, so it gives us plenty of options. One, a little bit more for the future, Luis Esteves. We signed him from Vitória Guimarães. Again, 2.5 star, you can see, but can play as an advanced playmaker, which is a role where we needed some backup to Costina. He's one of those players, it hasn't quite reached his potential, came through the system at Sporting, had some time out on loan, kind of bounced around a couple of different clubs. So we'll see if he can finally develop as his potential previously suggested. I also needed a striker, so our big money signing, £135,000 we spent on Igor Cassio. He was rotting in the reserves at Porto. I needed a backup striker. This was the guy we ended up with. Now, 2.5 star current ability, but you see 4 star potential there. So we're going to bring him in and out of the team, try and get him up to a level where he can, challenge Santana for a place in the future. One more Brazilian. Remember, this is one of the board objectives. Sign Brazilians, sign young players to sell for profit in the future. So we got this guy on a free, Kluber, 21-year-old Brazilian. So again, 2.5 stars, but can play in that wing-back role. And if we look at his potential, it's 4.5 star potential. So he's someone who could be an important player for us in a couple of years' time. One other signing, this was a mistake. This was a free agent that we looked at on trial. I put in the offer, and when we got that money in and we were able to sign some other players, I did think, well, we don't necessarily need this guy anymore. But then I thought, what the hell? He's 30 years old. He can still do a job for us. He's experienced. He can help out some of the youngsters. You see, he's got fairly high determination, balanced personality. He's a brave player. So I thought some good mental stats to pass on to youngsters. One thing I didn't realize must be a hidden attribute. This guy is so lazy. All the time in the training reports, he's picked out as the guy who's put the least effort into training. He's getting training ratings ranging from like 5.6 to 6.2 or 6.3. So I've spoken to him a few times, just not putting the effort in training. Third time I spoke to him, he said, "Hey, why are you always picking on me?" Of course, I said, because, I've spoken to you a few times and you haven't reacted positively. You haven't made any changes. He said, "I think you're singling me out." I said, "Well, if you're not prepared to put the commitment in, you can go." So as you can see, he's now transfer listed. He's on the unwanted list. Hopefully we can get rid of him in January. Anyway, on to better news. Our form in the league. Now, you saw in the first episode that 1-0 win over Florence. We then won both of our other games in September quite comfortably. That got me Jose Francisco Perez, of course, second in the Manager of the Month award. So well done him. Our first defeat predictably came in our first away game against one of the big three. We were beaten quite comfortably by Porto 4-1. You see, they scored twice very early on. I had set up slightly more of a defensive tactic for this game. Didn't work. They were just tearing us apart. So we switched to a more familiar tactic, and almost immediately we got this goal from Carlos Jr. Now look at this. He just picks the ball up, skins 2 players, runs into the centre, boom, smacks it in, and just continues at the same pace, sprinting out to the corner flag. That goal won the October Goal of the Month award, the bright spot in an otherwise poor performance. We bounced back, though, against Vitória de Guimarães, 2-1 win. We completely shithoused them in this one. We did not deserve to win this game at all. Our XG at the end of the game was like a 0.3. Theirs was like a 1.5 or something, but somehow we beat them 2-1. Back to the mainland, back to one of the big 3 stadiums, Benfica. We lost 3-0, but as you can see here, we held out until the 77th minute when they finally broke the deadlock, and then their final 2 goals came very late, 88 minutes and 90 plus 3. So we took some heart from that performance. We then bounced back against Maritimo. You might see Carlos Jr. and Santana coming up as scorers a lot. Carlos Jr., that inside forward, cutting in from the left wing, getting lots of goals there. Santana, he's just so smooth in the box. This is perhaps the one result where I'd say I was disappointed. Belenenses, if I'm pronouncing any of these names wrong, if you're Portuguese or you speak Portuguese, do let me know. Do correct me down in the comments. But these guys were bottom of the league when we played them. We should have won. They scored early. We then dominated the game from there, but they frustrated us. We finally got back into it late on. Tier Sense, 3rd tier team that we got in the cup. Straightforward 3-0 win there. We then played Famalicão, I believe they're called, in the league. Beat them 2-1. Very quick start from us. 2 goals very early on. Costina and Gore getting his first goals for the club. We then travelled to Portimonense. They were 6th in the league at the time we played them, so 2-2 was a decent result. Perhaps the main disappointment was the fact that we took the lead twice, but we couldn't hold on to it. And most recently, again, slightly disappointing result. Tondela, they're down in the bottom half of the table. We played them at home. We dominated the game. We just couldn't score. Which brings us up to today's game. Today's featured game is away to Boavista. I must say, looking at this picture, very nice stadium. I was going to bring you the Braga game. You'll see from the league table, Braga are currently top of the table. They've won 10 out of 10, so obviously they're the team to beat. We were due to play them on the weekend, but then the cup draw took place, so the Braga match was bumped to midweek. Then something unexpected came up, another cup competition that you'll see here, the Allianz Cup. So I looked this up to find out what it is. And what this is a replacement for the Portuguese League Cup. Normally, there's a League Cup played between all the teams from the first and second division in Portugal. This year, with the season being shortened due to the late start because of COVID, they've come up with a different mini tournament instead. So this is going to be played around the end of December and the start of January. Basically, at the end of November, the top 6 in the league and the top 2 from the second division were put into the draw. So we were second at the time. So we were seeded to play the first place team from the division below. So we got a decent chance of getting through to the semi-finals here. Now, these matches are spread out over several days. So on the date we should have played Braga, Braga got drawn to play actually our feeder team, Estoril, prior. So the Braga match has been bumped, I think, to late January. Yeah, right down there, 27th of January. So I needed to do an episode. I thought we'll do Boavista. Like I said in the previous episode, the big boys away, we're going to lose those games. So I'll bring you matches against Porto, Benfica and Sporting when we play them at home later in the season. But anyway, let's get into our game for today. So we're lining up with the 4-2-3-1, but you can see here it's our second setup for this. So we're playing balanced. We're looking to hold on to the ball more, slowly build from the back. We won't be committing to quick counter-attacks so much. And this has been fairly effective in the tough away games. So we've got Marco in goal, Villanueva and Cardoso in the centre of defence. Kluber comes in at right back. Ramos is suspended, having picked up one too many yellow cards. Lucas comes in at left back. Normally we play a Brazilian called Mansur here, but he's currently carrying a knock. Rashid, I should show you, he's been banging the penalties away. If I can bring up his stats for this season, I think he's got 4 goals, 3 in the league, 1 in the cup, all from the penalty spot. He missed 1 penalty as well, so he could have been on 5. And Carvalho partners him. Then we've got Costina, he's recently returned from injury. Gure starts on the right. Carlos Jr. playing as that inside forward. And Santana up front. So into the dressing room for our pre-match team talk. The assistant saying we should say, boys, the media have been praising you. It's all good. I'm going to pump my fists and say, lads, show me what you can do. Boavista lining up with something akin to a Christmas tree formation, very seasonal. We are Santa, which is seasonal as well. And we're off. Let's see if we can carry over our good form. Boavista are down near the bottom of the table. They're not in the relegation zone, but they are pretty low down. They nearly take the lead there, Marco, with pretty good reflex save. I think they're 15th, 14th, 15th, something like that. So hopefully we can pick up a win. You know, we're in much better form than they are, but of course, Boavista are a fairly big name in Portuguese football, one of the bigger, better-known teams outside of the big 3, so I'm sure away to them is always tough. Anyway, we've got a chance to build something up here. It comes just a bit too far ahead of Santana. Let's see if we can get this back, or are Boavista going to launch the counter-attack? They are indeed. They get the ball into the box. Valente now. Oh, the run from Cannon. Cannon fires it in. Nobody picked that up. He kind of came into the box very late there. Let's have a look from the other angle. Yeah, they played it around nicely. I think Valente, they knew what Cardoso was going to do. We were playing quite narrow there. We perhaps need to address that. Where has that good form gone? We've barely created anything so far in this first 15 minutes. Might have to think about doing some tactical changes. Should we go more aggressive, more positive, take the game to them? Right, I'm going to make the switch. I'm going to switch over to our more positive formation that we use at home, see if we can create a bit more. We didn't get a highlight, but you can see immediately we got our first shot on target. We've improved our XG. But it's Boavista again. It's Cannon, the goal scorer. And again, they go close. We're just not playing well. It's all one-way traffic so far in this half. Corner for Boavista. Oof. Yeah, we've got to hold on. We can't let them score again. before half-time. I'm not able to do shouts for some reason at this point. I did one shout, but that was like right back in the 10th minute. They seem to be sitting fairly deep, fairly narrow. Maybe that's something we need to look to exploit. So, of course, we tell the team that we're not pleased at all with what we've just seen from them. Let's see what we can change tactically. Right, so we're going to take off play out of defence, go more direct, get the play focused down the flanks, and a bit more overlapping as well. Quick distribution, so we're getting that ball out to the flanks. Launching the counter-attacks. Right, so tactical tweaks made. We haven't done any substitutions yet. I mean, we've got a couple of 6.4s, particularly in the attacking roles. Costina, Santana not really producing the goods today. Well, it's been a drab second half so far. We've had a shot. It wasn't a highlight. Boavista have had one shot as well, so nothing really added. Santana, he's just having a very poor day, only on a 6.2. I'm going to bring on Igor Casio. I mean, he's not as good as Santana, but you see there, he's focused, he's been after the game time, so let's give him a run out. And Costina also just not doing the business, so we're going to bring on Kryzan. Let's put him on an attacking role as well. Give them the team talk. I've got faith in you guys. Well, still nothing. I'm going to take off Rashid because he's just knackered, run himself into the ground. So we'll bring on Nine. I'm going to bring on Sagna at right back as well. Kluber has not had a good game so far today. I did check the Portuguese league is set up for this season that you can make 5 substitutions in total, but only on 3 different times in the game can you actually bring the substitutes on, and then next season it will revert to 3 substitutions only. Right, so we're going to go a bit more urgent, up the tempo, go a bit wider, pass into space a bit more, try and put the pressure on. We're going to push up the lines of engagement higher as well. Let's tell the team to fire up for this final 10 minutes as well. Come on, boys, get yourselves back into it. Get yourselves into it even. We've been terrible today. Okay, final substitution. I'm going to bring on the experienced Ukra for Ngore. Let's tell him we've got some faith in him to make a difference. Someone's got to make a difference for us. Come on, guys. Well, it's just not been our day. We've thrown everything at them. We went attacking. We changed the tactical instructions. All we got for it in that second half was 2 shots off target. Pretty poor performance. I mean, you see our XG there. It's a 0.33. We just didn't create anything today for some reason. So tell them that I'm definitely far from happy with that result. Well, we've got a cup game next. We're playing opposition from the league below, so hopefully that'll be a chance to build up some confidence again. Well, yes, absolutely, the Santa Clara man just slams his team. That was not good enough at all. It's also worrying we haven't scored for 2 games now. We haven't won in 3, so is this the end of that good run of form that saw us soar to the top of the table earlier in the season? Well, we will see. We will see. So we've got another next league game is tough. We are away to Sporting Lisbon. We've got cup games either side of that. So the next episode will very much depend on how we do in the cup and who we end up playing. If any interesting cup ties come up, or with this mini league cup, if we do well in that, we'll come back for one of those games. If not, we might come back for that Braga game, although I don't think that's going to be a top of the table clash by the time we get to it. In which case, if nothing interesting comes up in the cup, we'll probably come back for that home game against Porto. But, well, a shame we couldn't get the win today, but, you know, you can't win them all. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed the episode. Don't forget to hit that like button if you have. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I'm Dodgy Gamer, and I'll see you again soon.